AggLife Fit Action. In relays, specifically the 4x100 meter track relay, you have the smallest margin of error for handoffs and actually the technique in which you run, because it's so quick. The whole race is mostly right around 37, 38 seconds, 39 seconds, not even 40 seconds on the pro level and on the Olympic level. But you can't fumble the baton. You can't do little things here and there that you can do in maybe the 4x400 meter, where you have a time to catch up. So Jamaica had dominated for years between like 2008 and 2016. I believe they still have the record with Usain Bolt and Johan Blake. But there was a time that they didn't have those two. And they had a catastrophic error. And it's labeled as probably the funniest relay ever. But it's I wouldn't call it the funniest. And it's an error that is very unusual. It was almost as if the person just wasn't paying attention and he allowed the person, the handoff, to run right past him. And it's unexplainable. So, I mean, people could say that maybe the crowd was too loud or any of those types of things, but this guy just wasn't watching. The exchanges on these relays, they are supposed to be perfect. In order to be perfect, that means you're not losing much speed as you're going around. A perfect exchange is there's no slacking at all in between changes. You're not running past them, which is sometimes considered a safe exchange when you're kind of side by side with them. You're not getting up that close to them. What you're doing is you're passing the baton in a way that the baton doesn't pause. It's constantly moving. And it's a conversation between those two, between the person handing it off and the person receiving it. But in this case, it was Jamaica running, early 2000s. And the guy, the second leg going to the third leg, the second leg, he ran right past the third leg. And that's not the third leg's fault. I mean, he has to be watching. You're supposed to look back, and when they're getting close, you listen. You listen for the signal to start running. And then you have to exchange within that exchange zone. There's an exchange zone of about 20 meters. And then there's an acceleration zone of 10 meters. But it's 30 meters total. That baton has to be exchanged. The baton itself has to move to the next person within that 20 meters. And you have to practice that. That's something that you constantly practice. In America, we've had problems, not in the last 4 years, but when you move to like 8 years and then going back. So let's say 2016 and then going all the way back to about 2000 or 2004, the United States was known for having faulty handoffs. They've dropped it. They've done a lot of different things. I believe run out of lanes, but the United States was having a tough time. But it seems like we've gotten that resolved pretty much. But it could happen at any time. There's communication because with the United States had a lot of different people, or had hands full of people that were top-notch runners. And they were coming from all over the world. They were traveling and doing all those types of things. They don't really master the 4x100, meaning like some of these other countries, they have particular runners that are running on that relay. They might put some fresh legs on the opening rounds, but most of those other countries don't have the leg to stand on, so to speak, in those early rounds, because you had Jamaica and you had the United States and you had Canada that was doing well. Great Britain did well, I believe, for a few years, but you see other ones coming up, like I believe Italy and France are doing well. Italy is really good. Italy did really good this year, if I remember correctly. I believe they were second, overall, and this is men's 4x100. So they are practicing the 4x100. That's what they do. And those relays, that's what they do. With America, they were taking runners, and what they would do is put runners that maybe qualified to go, and they weren't the best runners, but they were solid runners. They would put them in the opening rounds, especially in the first round, semifinals possibly also, but they would put them in the early rounds and then exchange in the finals. Once they made it to the finals, they would exchange for their top 4 runners. And that meant that a lot of times they didn't have the exchanges down. It's not enough just to know the technique of running the 4x100 meter. It's not enough just to know where you're positioned in your lane, going from 1 to 2 and 2 to 3 and 3 to 4 in the exchange. It's not enough for that. It's not enough just to know, hey, I'm coming in and I have to say stick. I have to say go and stick, or whatever the word is for them. We said go to start the run, and then we said stick for you to put your hand back and for you to exchange that handoff, exchange the baton. Whatever connection that is, you have to know that for each team, and you have to practice it, because there are different speeds of people coming in. And if you're changing the legs up on start, or some people call scratch, on the first leg, that's a great person that's out the blocks. They're great out the blocks, and that's a solid, they're running the curve. But then when you're exchanging the second leg and the fourth leg are the same, because they're straightaways, and then you have somebody running the curve on the third leg. So sometimes they will switch those people.